Hey y'all, it's Jordan with another Armstrong Antlers and Anglers Quick Tip, and today I'm talking about chatterbaits. Let's get started. Okay y'all, so in this week's Armstrong Antlers and Anglers Quick Tip, I'm talking about chatterbaits. And when I say I'm talking about chatterbaits, I'm talking about weight selection, color selection, line selection, rod and reel setup, and how to use them. So let's start off with weight selection. Whenever it comes to weight selection for a chatterbait, there's obviously a lot of different options out there, and to some anglers it may seem confusing, especially new anglers. But the one thing that I want everybody to remember, especially if you're not very familiar with chatterbaits, is it's not complicated. And when I say it's not complicated, I mean, whenever it comes to bass fishing, most anglers are very proficient with a jig. And whenever it comes to a chatterbait, all it is a bladed jig. So whatever weight you would typically use for a jig in that situation, that's what weight you're going to select for a chatterbait. But if you're a new angler and all of this is foreign to you and you're not proficient with a jig and you've obviously never used a chatterbait before, or you're not proficient with chatterbaits and weight selection, here's a really easy rule of thumb. Whenever you're looking at lighter current or more finesse situations, clearer water, stuff like that, you want to go with a lighter weight, like a 1/4 ounce. Whenever it comes to power fishing, whenever it comes to heavier current, try to go to something like a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce. So now for the second thing on the list, color selection. And for me personally, whenever it comes to color selection, I keep things really simple with just 4 colors: black and blue, green pumpkin, white and chartreuse, and red. And as far as the breakdown of when I choose these colors or how I choose these colors goes, that's just as simple. Whenever it comes to red, I only use it in the early springtime. Whenever the water temps are still cool, pre-spawn conditions, that is the only time that I use red. Whenever it comes to black and blue, most of the time I'm only using that in dirtier water conditions, stained water conditions. Whenever it comes to green pumpkin, same thing, cleaner water conditions. And whenever it comes to the white and chartreuse, I pick that typically whenever I'm trying to imitate some kind of shad. Now for the third thing on the list, and that's line selection. And honestly, in my opinion, line selection is probably going to be the easiest thing we talk about and the easiest thing to determine, because I keep it really simple with this as well. I stick to a 12 to 16 pound test fluorocarbon, unless there's some extreme conditions like heavy grass or something like that where, common sense would tell you to switch up to a braid. I always stick to a 12 to 16 pound test fluorocarbon. If it's clearer water conditions, I really like a lighter fluorocarbon, or if it's a lighter weight like a 1/4 ounce chatterbait, I really like a lighter fluorocarbon like the 12 ounce. And whenever it comes to more stained water conditions, power fishing, whenever you're around heavier cover, stuff like that, especially if I'm trying to do like a crawfish presentation where I'm dragging on bottom near rocks and things like that, that's when I like to stay with a 14 or a 16 pound test fluorocarbon. For the fourth thing on the list, now that we're getting closer to getting this thing on the water, rod and reel selection. Whenever it comes to my rod setup, it doesn't matter, what brand. I just like a 7-foot to a 7'2" medium with a fast action tip rod. Whenever it comes to my reels, I really like something that's a little bit slower speed. I don't go down into the 5s, but like a 6/8 to 1 or a 7/1 to 1, something like that works absolutely perfect. Oh, and one thing I almost forgot to mention, trailer selection. Whenever it comes to my trailer selection, 99% of the time I use one of these Rage mini scrubs, whether it's the baby mini scrub or the full-size mini scrub. This is 99% of the time my trailer. The other 1% of the time, I like something like this paddle tail swim bait. And whenever it comes to the color selection for your trailers, I just go accordingly to whatever kind of color you're throwing, chatterbait wise. So if you're throwing a black and blue chatterbait, I use a black and blue trailer. If I'm using, white and chartreuse chatterbait, I use either a white or a chartreuse trailer. Red, same thing. And finally, how do I use the thing? Well, to be honest with you, I really let the fish tell me how I'm going to use it. There's a few different methods I like to use. I like to pop it and hop it across the bottom like a jig. I like to drag it across the bottom, but the higher speed pace like a jig, kind of swimming across the bottom, I guess similar to what you'd see a crankbait do. And the third thing is I like to just swim it. And I let the fish, like I said, I let the fish tell me how I'm going to determine that. I'll try multiple different retrieves throughout the day until I find one that works. And whenever I find the one that works, that's the one I stick with for the rest of the day. Okay, y'all, so that's it for this video. As always, thank you, Armstrong, for putting this video on. Make sure y'all are checking out Armstrong for good, reliable, high-speed internet. And if you're a business, make sure you check out their business solutions. My name's Jordan, and if you enjoyed this experience, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button. I'll see you next time.